What's up, cool people? My name's Matt. Welcome to another Abridged Bible video. This time I am going to be looking at the book of Ruth. Now, Ruth is already somewhat short. It's only 4 chapters. And honestly, it probably wouldn't take that long to read the entire thing on its own. But I'm still setting out to do the entire Bible in this format. So, rather than have it be extremely short and just give you a verse or two per chapter, I'm breaking my rules a little bit and expanding that quite a bit. I'm pretty much just going to try and stick to the main points, though, of what all happens, so you can get the general gist of the entire story of the book of Ruth. So, otherwise, pretty much the same format as last time. I'll have, the verses up on the screen, and, each chapter is going to get kind of its own color coding, you might say, just so you know where the breaks are between each one, and, yeah, the extension of each chapter individually is going to be a bit longer this time around because I'm doing more verses per chapter. But on the whole, it's still going to be a relatively quick summary. So, without further ado, let's get to it. This is Ruth Abridged. In the days when the judges ruled in Israel, a severe famine came upon the land. So a man from Bethlehem in Judah left his home and went to live in the country of Moab, taking his wife and 2 sons with him. Then Elimelech died, and Naomi was left with her 2 sons. The 2 sons married Moabite women. One married a woman named Orpah, and the other a woman named Ruth. But about 10 years later, both Mahlon and Chilion died. This left Naomi alone, without her 2 sons or her husband. Then Naomi heard in Moab that the Lord had blessed his people in Judah by giving them good crops again. So Naomi and her daughters-in-law got ready to leave Moab to return to her homeland. But Naomi replied, "Why should you go on with me? Can I still give birth to other sons who could grow up to be your husbands?" And again they wept together, and Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, but Ruth clung tightly to Naomi. So Naomi returned from Moab, accompanied by her daughter-in-law Ruth, the young Moabite woman. They arrived in Bethlehem in late spring, at the beginning of the barley harvest. So Ruth went out to gather grain behind the harvesters. And as it happened, she found herself working in a field that belonged to Boaz, the relative of her father-in-law, Elimelech. Boaz went over and said to Ruth, "Listen, my daughter, stay right here with us when you gather grain. Don't go to any other fields. Stay right behind the young women working in my field." So Ruth gathered barley there all day, and when she beat out the grain that evening, it filled an entire basket. So Ruth worked alongside the women in Boaz's fields and gathered grain with them until the end of the barley harvest. Then she continued working with them through the wheat harvest in early summer. And all the while she lived with her mother-in-law. One day Naomi said to Ruth, "My daughter, it's time that I found a permanent home for you, so that you will be provided for." After Boaz had finished eating and drinking and was in good spirits, he lay down at the far end of the pile of grain and went to sleep. Then Ruth came quietly, uncovered his feet, and lay down. "The Lord bless you, my daughter," Boaz exclaimed. "You are showing even more family loyalty now than you did before, for you have not gone after a younger man, whether rich or poor. But while it's true that I am one of your family redeemers, there is another man who is more closely related to you than I am." Then Naomi said to her, "Just be patient, my daughter, until we hear what happens. The man won't rest until he has settled things today." Boaz went to the town gate and took a seat there. Just then the family redeemer he had mentioned came by, so Boaz called out to him, "Come over here and sit down, friend. I want to talk to you." So they sat down together. And Boaz said to the family redeemer, "You know Naomi, who came back from Moab. She is selling the land that belonged to our relative Elimelech." Then Boaz told him, "Of course, your purchase of the land from Naomi also requires that you marry Ruth, the Moabite widow. That way she can have children who will carry on her husband's name and keep the land in the family. Then I can't redeem it, the family redeemer replied, because this might endanger my own estate. You redeem the land. I cannot do it. Then the elders and all the people standing in the gate replied, We are witnesses. May the Lord make this woman who is coming into your home like Rachel and Leah, from whom all the nation of Israel descended. May you prosper in Ephrathah and be famous in Bethlehem. So Boaz took Ruth into his home, and she became his wife. When he slept with her, the Lord enabled her to become pregnant, and she gave birth to a son. The neighbor women said, Now at last Naomi has a son again, and they named him Obed. He became the father of Jesse and the grandfather of David. Okay, so that does it. I tried to hit, every significant plot point in the story, and I'd say that summarizes it pretty well. I mean, we don't necessarily need all the little details of every single thing that happened if we're trying to do a general summary here, because as long as you get the main point, that's really what I'm trying to get at here. The thing is, Ruth, though, is a lot more kind of story-heavy and less all right, here's some genealogy, or here's, minute details of what's going on at this moment, or lots of laws, or a bunch of fighting that might get repetitive, or whatever. It truly is the first book of the Bible that really feels like it's meant to be a self-contained story. But anyway, I digress. Big thing, though, of course, at the end to note is that Ruth winds up becoming really important to the broader, genealogical chain of Israel, because she essentially ends up being the grandmother or great-grandmother of King David. So it's, pretty important connection there. But anyway, I will admit I have not seen any of the feedback from Judges Abridged as of recording this, so if this format isn't quite preferred, hopefully any feedback that I get on that will then be ready and I can act on that before I get into the abridged version of 1 Samuel. But feel free to leave any feedback down in the comments section. It might be a little while before I actually see it and get to it, but I promise you eventually I will get there. My flow has me recording and editing things pretty well in advance. So that's the only reason that's the case. But, as always, like and share if you enjoyed the video and want others to see it. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell to get updates when I post new videos. If you happen to see this on any other platform, just follow or do whatever is appropriate for that. Look down in the description as well to get info on other social media pages and other ways to keep up with me and what I'm doing. And, otherwise, I think that covers everything. So, hope you're all doing well. Hopefully I'll see you soon for another video. Whatever the case is, till next time, stay cool, people.